patients. Family medicine covers a broad spectrum of care for all ages, all genders, and every kind of disease. They do this with a wide offering of treatments and specialty clinics for all patients. Call 217-872-3800 to schedule your first appointment.
And yet another major brand just announced it's halting all social media advertising.
The two most overused and abused words in advertising are truth and trust. They are the two most precious commodities for all brands, big and small. As an advertiser, you have to trust your partners to protect your brand's truth using the media consumers trust. Radio, it's on.
Trust the Miller Media Group to deliver your message.
Enel North America is dedicated to creating long-term shared value for our host communities. Enel is proud to be the exclusive sponsor of the WHOW WEZC McLean County Community Spotlight, featuring the important work of a different McLean County nonprofit organization each month.
Hi, I'm Cody Monkman, Network Director for the Neighborhood Care Center. Our new McLean County Care Center location is designed to support and inspire people to reach their God-given potential. Located at 112 North Buchanan in Hayworth, our new location will serve the communities and small towns in McLean County through our weekly service platforms. Stop by Wednesdays beginning August 30th at our new location.
Enel is a clean energy leader in North America and is working to electrify the economy and help build a net zero carbon future for Illinois. They're proud to be the exclusive sponsor of the WHOW WEZC McLean County Community Spotlight.
Covenant Animal Clinic is your hometown vet in Clinton. Hi, this is Dr. Sue Sturr. Covenant Animal Clinic is here to provide the best care for your pets in the most convenient way possible. Learn more online by clicking our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com. And remember, a healthy pet is a happy pet.
For the latest in Central Illinois agricultural news, visit IllinoisFarmRadio.com. Get updated information on markets, weather, ag news, local interviews with NAFB farm broadcaster Jared White, and much, much more. All at IllinoisFarmRadio.com.
Spot less. Introducing the cleanup for tar spot, gray leaf spot, southern rust, and more. Novel next generation Adastrio fungicide broadens your spectrum and strengthens your residual when it comes to foliar disease control in corn. Visit your FMC retailer or adastrio.ag.fmc.com to clean up this season. Follow 2EE for tar spot management in corn. Valid until 1/31/28. Always read and follow all label directions.
News time is 9 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Monday morning. Top of the morning from the newsroom of Regional Radio and DeWittDailyNews.com. I'm Seth Lawrence with this expanded local newscast brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, and the morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Just short of 86,000 people attended the 2023 edition of the Apple and Pork Festival. Clinton Police Chief Ben Lowers points out while it was short of the last two Apple and Pork festivals, which were each record-setting, it's right on average for the festival pre-COVID.
So to be expected, Sunday's always just a bit slower, a little bit slower start with church and things. So we don't anticipate quite as many people on a Sunday, but, I think we were right there in the average for a Sunday attendance. Today's attendance was 32,400, and added with yesterday's 53,511 to be exactly precise, gives us a grand total over the 2 days of 85,911. Again, that's 85,911 attendance over the 2 days of our 55th annual Apple and Pork Festival. You know what? We say that, and I've heard some comments of that, but really that's running right into the average, and a very good average pre-COVID. Mm-hmm. The last couple of years since COVID, and I think more people got out. People were anxious to get out and whatnot. We've talked about last year, I believe, was a record year where we broke 100,000. I think it was near 104,000 last year. And, again, I certainly don't want to put any negative connotation on it, merely from the fact that, this was certainly an average of the normal attendance for the 2 days. So very positive. Everything went very well from our standpoint. The weather cooperated very nicely. No major, medical issues, health related. We've had those years where it's been extremely hot, and we've had those years where it was cold and wet. So we'll take this any time, any year, and that attendance, I think, was very successful.
A trend the DeWitt County Museum has experienced over the last few years has been the increase in young people interested and touring the C.H. Moore Homestead Mansion during the festival. Director Joey Long tells Regional Radio that trend continued again this year.
Everyone just really seems to be in a good mood. And I'm noticing that as, the people come through the house, everyone's engaging, everyone's happy, everyone's having a good time. And, when they come through and they say, well, this house, I've not been in this house before. This is amazing. Thank you so much for, all of your hard work, putting this house together and keeping this museum going. And, my response to them is, well, thank you to people like you who come to the festival and tour the house, because that too keeps the house going. Yeah. Even young adults in their 20s, I had some great conversations with some of them. And not only were they in the house because they enjoy history, a lot of them that I was talking to are also engaged in volunteering in other historic house museums around Central Illinois. So that's a great networking thing, right? But then it's so nice to see that, yes, younger people are becoming interested in this kind of thing, and then also, stepping up and taking part.
For long, the museum now turns its attention to the Morning More exhibit, which comes up next month.
It's not over today. So the museum is open for tours actually April through December, 6 days a week. So you can visit our website, www.chmorehomestead.org. Check out our Facebook page or give us a call at 217-935-6066. We have more events coming up. We have the Morning More. Yeah. Well, Seth, here's what's going to happen. So, during the entire month of October, the entire mansion will be staged as if a death has just taken place, and there'll be a funeral in the morning. So the house will look completely different than you've ever seen it before. We'll have the clock stopped, and we'll have the black bunting up and shrouding the mirrors and whatnot. We'll even have a casket in the formal parlor, and we're going to explore how the Victorians took care of funerals, how they, the customs that they went through and traditions and whatnot, and just take a look at how in some ways they looked at it so differently than we do now, but in a lot of ways, some of those things are still carried on as tradition today. Sure. And then after that, we will have Santa night, and then we'll have candlelight tours for Christmas. So it just keeps on going.
For Chief Flowers, the festival brings a great crowd that causes very few, if any, problems. He credits this to the fact the festival is very traditional and centered around food.
It's a great event. I talk about just the history of the event, and there's people here at the homestead that can tell you a lot more than I can. But even from attending as a kid, when the festival was right here at the homestead, and then the addition of the flea market, and quite frankly now it just encompasses the entire town with everything out on the west end. People taking advantage of all the crowd with their yard sales and garage sales, and Clinton's the place to be this weekend. And again, we've talked so much about, I was just talking to one of the young deputies this morning who's attending the festival for his first time working it. Fortunately, we don't have a battle of the bands and multiple beer tents and things. We just don't have issues. It's a craft festival. It's vendors. It's food. It's a good, clean crowd. It's just a wonderful festival. I heard people from out of town yesterday saying, I don't think you understand what a nice festival this is. I do. I'm not taking it for granted by any means. But it shows me that people come here because they attend other festivals and they love this festival. They come to it every year and talking about what a great festival that it is. So, and especially between, they do such a phenomenal job here at the homestead. Obviously Joey and Larry Buss, and prior to, they do a great job here. On the city side of things, I want to shout out to our city hall staff. It started Tim Followell prior to his retirement, handled so many of those things. And quite quite frankly, I'll be the first to admit that after he retired, he had us set up very well, but there were a few little kinks to work out, that maybe things that he had done that nobody recognized or realized that he had done, or were oversights. And so you mentioned the garbage pickup. That was one of them. And I want to hand it out to Cameron Wilford up at City Hall. She's kind of taken some of that responsibility and coordinated those things. And we had a bit of a hiccup last year with that, as far as from the city side of things. And think about the amount of food here and the amount of trash the amount of refuse that creates. And so we did have a bit of an issue with that last year. That's been corrected. It was resolved, and it was coordinated for this year. And yes, I was talking to the GFL rep this morning, and what a great job they've done keeping things up, having plenty of supplies on hand, and just having that taken care of. Yeah, everybody's involved, from the city, the homestead, the civic groups, the Boy Scouts. It is. It's pretty fascinating, really, and quite frankly, in my opinion, impressive of how everybody works together and hosts such a large event in our small community.
Keep it to WHOW and DeWittDailyNews.com for continued coverage of the Apple and Pork Festival from our time covering the event this weekend. And be sure to click on the Apple and Pork Festival icon at DeWittDailyNews.com for all our coverage of the annual festival in Clinton. Is the DeWitt County Board softening its stance on carbon capture? In August, the board approved a ban on carbon capture in DeWitt County, but last Thursday at the DeWitt County Board meeting, the board discussed zoning for carbon capture in DeWitt County. On the WHOW Morning Show Friday, DeWitt County Board Chair Dan Matthews told Regional Radio the board perhaps was a bit too quick to ban CO2 storage.
Well, after last meeting, you and I talked, Seth, and it seemed like a quick move to ban them, right away, right when there's so much still going on with CO2 sequestration. And shortly after that meeting, we started hearing from other groups, and one in particular that I've been following and sounding off with is the group of board chairs from our surrounding counties, Sangamon, Logan, Christian, all of those. They're all in the same position where they're wanting more information. And so really our action, and my thought before, was I didn't have enough information to say or go against that ordinance request. I felt we needed to find out more information. I think you even asked me about that. You've seen studies that say it is safe, it is this, it's been around longer than people think. But as I found out right away, I think 2 days after the meeting, Sangamon County, they have a moratorium not only on the wells, but also on all pipelines till the end of the year. And they did that too to find out more information about it, what's happening.
According to Matthews, this is also a move that anticipates the state of Illinois stepping in with regulations like they did with wind and solar. He admits they also need to learn more about the process.
And we also know that there's some bills going around. There's some different, like we saw with solar and wind. The state's going to weigh in, and they're going to put limitations. What they feel is fair for these companies to come in to operate in, so that a county can't just make it impossible for someone to bring in a project like that. So really, we want to continue to look at it. And Mr. Whitty brought that up and brought up some good points. And he and I have been, as well as Mr. Carter, spent a lot of time doing it, looking into it further. And we all have our opinions about it right now, but it was more, let's slow down, let's wait and see what's going to happen, both from the state, from the federal government, and learn more about it before we, move forward one direction or the other. So it wasn't we're never going to allow. Some people on the board think that, right? Some people say we will never have these in the county. Well, we may not have a choice, but so the thing that Mr. Ferguson brought up last night is we need to put some ordinances together so that if we don't have a choice and we do end up with wells in DeWitt County, that the non-participating residents, landowners are protected. So that's our job as the county, I believe, is not to decide exactly what comes in and what comes out, but when something may come to our county, are we protecting the residents? And I feel that's our job, and that's the next step we're going to take.
For Matthews, how they worded last month's revision to the county code to ban the practice could have been handled differently. He points to a few surrounding counties that have put moratoriums on projects and other temporary measures.
I think we could have used the term a moratorium. We could have put out, a motion to put a moratorium on the wells, maybe like Sangamon County did. I don't think there was really, the intent of it was any different. other than, we the past and things that have, happened to DeWitt County. I think we just wanted the public to know that we were not just going to stand by and wait to see what happened. So we wanted to take a step, the initial step, to say right now we do not want these. And so it could have been worded differently. It just looked like we said we're never going to allow these, right? Well, after that, I found out a lot of other counties have done the same thing, really, with just you can change the terminology of what we did. So I think we did the right thing at the time, but we're going to continue to explore it. And believe me, the board is split on. If you asked all the board members or polled them today and said, do you think wells will ever be in DeWitt County? You're not going to get a 12-0 either way. It's going to be split. We just need to continue to educate ourselves. And you mentioned Navigator. Danielle is a good resource. She provides us a lot of information. And obviously, she wants us to feel as comfortable as we can about the project. So we have a good relationship with her. Mm-hmm. And she's really been this, the spokesman all along. We've talked to different people from Navigator in and out, but we have a good relationship with her, and she provides us with good information. We're just going to keep moving down that path.
Matthews did defend his board's decision, noting Navigator was telling them in early 2023 they planned to have applications ready to submit, so the board felt compelled to act. But as it got closer to those dates they were talking about, things started to change for Navigator.
This almost goes back to, maybe this time last year when Navigator first talked to us and said, hey, in February of 23, we're going to get our permitting. We're going to be back here to talk to you guys. And then all of a sudden, in January, it's like, well, the permitting's not really going the way we're going to have to resubmit all of our permits requests. And so they've changed along the way too. Their path has changed. Mm-hmm. So there's just too much unknown. And they, kind of said, well, it might be another year before we actually have our permitting to even come talk to you about this. So, something changed there too. So there's just a lot of balls in the air that, again, I think we did the right thing. But I think you saw last night that our minds aren't closed to learning more about it.
And Matthews again continues to emphasize the county has a good relationship with Navigator, the company seeking to develop CO2 storage wells in DeWitt County. He also believes they've been fair in giving them the attention they've been seeking as they pursue their project in DeWitt County. News time is 23 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Monday. More to come on the WHOW Morning Show.
Looking for new Buick inventory? This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton. We have Buick inventory in stock and inbound. Many models to choose from, like the Buick GX, the Buick Envision, and the Buick Enclave. This month, take advantage of $1,000 trade assistance plus an extra $500 for Friends of Ag, all on new Buicks. Come see our staff for details. BaumChevyBuick.com. Right from the start.
News time is 24 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Monday. Again, I'm Seth Lawrence with you folks today for this expanded local newscast. The Illinois Farm Bureau is monitoring the 2023 Farm Bill progress. The president, Rich Giebert.
But on the national scene, we continue to work on the Farm Bill. It's really important. It expires next week. And you can't help but turn on a television and see the pushing and the pulling that's going on in Washington, D.C. when it comes to the budget hearings, the Farm Bill, and you name it. A lot of pushing and pulling going on up there. I compliment all our county leaders and folks that are on the ag advisory committees. I compliment our legislators that have been out and about, giving us the opportunity to tell our story and how important crop insurance is. And what we need other than just crop insurance. We need to keep the nutrition title and the commodity titles, everything together going forward. And let's get it done in a bipartisan way and maybe hopefully more support than we had in the 2018 Farm Bill. So we'll see where it goes next week after next. I'll be in Washington, D.C. for AFBF board, and I'm sure we'll have more conversations there.
Illinois has 5 reps on the House Ag Committee: Mike Boss, Nikki Baczynski, Jonathan Jackson, Mary Miller, and Eric Sorensen. Illinois' senior U.S. Senator Dick Durbin serves on the Senate Ag Committee. The nation is on the brink of governmental shutdown unless lawmakers find a common ground on a new fiscal budget, but the clock is ticking for lawmakers to strike a deal before an October 1st deadline. Illinois Senator Dick Durbin weighed in.
Well, they have a right to be frustrated. I am too. We went through this with the debt ceiling, which was a ridiculous exercise. that just hurt the economy. And then an agreement was reached. An agreement was reached between President Biden and Republican Speaker McCarthy. Okay, here's the outline of how we're going to spend money in the next fiscal year, which starts October 1st. And off we went. In the Senate, we took that seriously. We've done 12 bills, which is the entire federal budget, on a bipartisan basis. Two of the best legislators in the Senate, Republican Senator Collins, Democratic Senator Murray, did their job and moved forward based on the agreement between President and McCarthy just a few months ago. Now, guess what? McCarthy's 5 or 6 Freedom Caucus MAGA Republicans have said, we're not bound by that agreement. We're going to start over. I mean, this is crazy. If we reach a bipartisan agreement of that significance, for goodness sakes, get on with your business and put the budget of the federal government together. That's what we're trying to do in the Senate. And McCarthy's just, I mean, he's facing a situation where he has 5 or 6 people who are controlling him.
Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy said he would give lawmakers ample time to return to the nation's capital for a vote. Due to the crunch time, lawmakers could pass a short-term funding bill before a government shutdown on October 1st. A U.S. senator has been blocking military promotions over objections to a policy of giving time off to service members who are seeking an abortion or fertility treatment. The Senate sidestepped the block by Alabama's Tommy Tuberville by calling for a full vote of the appointment of a new Joint Chiefs of Staff. The continued blockade of that promotion and others has angered Illinois Senator and combat veteran Tammy Duckworth.
This is about our national security, something that Senator Tuberville says he would not jeopardize, where he said that he would immediately lift his hold if he thought that it jeopardized our national security. Well, let me tell you, every member of the Joint Chiefs of Staff has said our national security is jeopardized. Every single Department of Defense official, secretaries of defense, Army, Navy, Air Force have all said the same thing. This is jeopardizing our national security. I asked you, why is Tommy Tuberville doing this? He is not doing this for the good of the nation. A man who has never worn the uniform of this great nation, who could have at any time joined the military, did not. Now he is holding it hostage for his own personal political gain.
Hundreds more promotions are in limbo and will be difficult to handle if a full Senate vote is needed on each one. Illinois Congressman Mike Boss says he's fighting to fix FEMA's formula for natural disasters to get more payouts based off region, not state population. He says current formula puts rural communities in states with large population centers at a disadvantage when seeking assistance. Boss points to a tornado that hit Crawford County earlier this year that devastated the community.
That tornado then moved over and hit the first Crawford, set right on the Indiana state line, hit the next county over. Didn't do as much damage, but that was in Indiana. Indiana was able to receive help from FEMA and was declared a disaster when Crawford County in Illinois, which had more damage, was not, based on the fact that they have a large city, even though those funds are nowhere near the area in which the damage occurred.
Boss legislation would require FEMA to consider factors such as the local accessible tax base and local sales tax, the median income, and poverty rate. It would also require states to provide a 10% non-federal cost share for public assistance. News today brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters.
News, I'm Rich Thomason. Wednesday brings the second Republican presidential primary debate, and former President Trump will not be there. The GOP frontrunner in poll after poll will instead go to